What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round 1 Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. While you join in the live stream, let me know that you hear me loud and clear. We're going to get this episode started. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of fights still going to break out. And we have a big fight on the horizon. I made this video headlining in particular Naoya Inoue's next moves. I'm going to break down a few things before I get to Naoya Inoue because this is going to be in correlation to him. Okay? This may be a video. Don't forget to like it. You might want to share this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Helps the channel grow. Now, interesting enough, when you sit back and you have this argument whether you want Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, your favorite boxer to fight your favorite fight, the best fighting the best. And how are we going to get these fights? Well, I'm going to give you a scenario and let's see where this goes. Let's see if we can all agree to disagree or agree. Okay? All right. For instance, let's take Tank Davis, right? Let's say, who would you like or prefer for Tank Davis to fight next? In a good world, who would you like him to fight next? But you can only use the guys that are available. That's it. That's how the game is played. No fantasy island. Real scenarios. What next? And I'm going to present it to you, give it to you real quick. Here we go. Now, Loma was his first option. Loma publicly said he didn't want to fight him. Hart wasn't into it. He needed a break. Option A was gone, off the table. Maybe revisit later, but not for now. Now, option B would have been Shakur Stevenson. Had we booked that fight, we wouldn't be getting it because Shakur Stevenson broke his hand. So I'm glad they didn't announce that right now because he broke his hand. So option 2 is out. The third option you had was William Cepeda. William Cepeda publicly went on during that time and said he was having a baby, that he needed a little bit more time. Now he came back and he got this fight, right? In November on that Mexican card that they're going to throw out there in Saudi, right? Okay. So all the top options for Tank Davis are out off the table, right? So who would you like him to fight? Berichek? He said no to Tank. Who you would like him to fight? Morataya? Davis? He already beat Martin. He can't fight Cruz. Cruz has a record of 4-0. Who's going to accept that? The British guy is 15-0, too young. There's nobody else at 135 pounds. Now, I know that everybody would like to say they would like to take their favorite fighter and bounce him around divisions like if he was a video game. What most likely what you and your coaches would like is for you to about time to settle down in one division. Stop jumping around the divisions and not allowing your body to adjust. You're moving up to 140, back to 135. You want him to jump up back to 140. Tank Davis can't go up to, I mean, he can technically, but what would that do for his career? Just jumping up to 140, now he's putting his nose in other divisions. Are you going to expect him to defend the titles at 140 and 135? I believe that Tank Davis is where he's at 135, and Calvin Ford and the rest of his coaches have made it abundantly clear Tank's not going to 140. So why don't we all get that out of our mind? When he offered to fight Jose Valenzuela at 140, and technically he didn't. He sent him a contract to fight him at 135 because he didn't want to go up there. Jose said he wanted him to go up to 140, and all that was just bullshit talk because Jose Valenzuela knew the entire time he was tied into a rematch clause with Isaac Pitbull Cruz. So the fight with Jose was never going to come to fruition. As soon as Isaac Pitbull Cruz said, I want the rematch, it was all done. So why go down that road and exhaust that energy for Tank when he's kind of tied up? See? It was kind of like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. While Errol Spence had him in that renegotiation clause, Terrence Crawford technically couldn't do anything. He was threatening to do things because it was taking so long, but he really couldn't do anything. Just like Usyk is tied in with Tyson Fury. If Usyk were to win and fought Dubois to honor the mandatory, Tyson Fury would have sued him. He was locked in. So in a good world, right? Only using the guys we have available. In every situation I broke down, there's no hypotheticals there. Those are all factual situations that took place throughout all social media. So everything I just said is 100% facts. Okay? We would have never got any of the top fights for him for November. Now that's the date that I'm locked in. Tank Davis has a schedule. He wanted to stay active. November was the date. So someone's got to make that date in order for him to stay active. Now, the longer Tank stays out of the ring, the longer Prime drags out that contract. So he's going to want to get in the ring as soon as possible to knock out this 6-fight deal so he can get his money and then do whatever he's going to do. You see? So what happens in these situations is that although if you were to go down the line of 135, you weren't going to be happy with the guy they were going to find. Lamont Roach is a world champion at 130. He's going to come up, and they have sparred in the amateur. He's a tough guy. It's another good fight, if you ask me. It would have been, this is the better version of the fight that you would have not got at 135. Who else you was going to put in the ring with Tank Davis? George Camboza? Who are you going to put in with him? Jose Ramirez. No. John Pitt. No. None of them guys would have been a good fight for him. Keyshawn Davis was too early. Like, I wouldn't accept it. Edwin De Los Santos probably would have been a good fight. Edwin didn't want the fight. I'm not too sure that would have been a better fight than Lamont Roach, Edwin De Los Santos. I mean, Edwin De Los Santos has power, and he has proven he pulled off a couple big upsets. And had he did a little bit more, I think he might have beat Shakur Stevenson, but we'll never know because he didn't do anything in the freaking ring to raise his stock. Had he won that fight right now, him and Tank Davis would probably be headlining Edwin De Los Santos. But that shit didn't happen. So what would you like? Who can get ready for the November date? Lamont Roach stuck up his hand. Can you blame the man? That's the lottery fight. You mean to tell me they're going to offer you the lottery fight at 135, which is Tank Davis? That kind of money can change your life. And you're going to say no? No one else in 135 was saying yes. Here comes Lamont Roach. Is like, yo, hey, I'm right. I'll take the fight. They was like, world champion, fought before, athletic, strong, can box, can fight. Yeah, I like that. You won. You hit the lottery. Then all of a sudden, the fans start saying, nah, we don't want these fight. We don't want the fight. Well, then who would you like him to fight in with everything that's truly going on? You can't just say, oh, I just want to see him fight Shakur. No, his hand's broken. Loma, no, he wouldn't fight him. Burchak, no, he wouldn't fight him. I mean, these are just, it all played out right in front of your face. But yet, you're going to give him criticism and look at all the backlash. The fans don't understand this. The fans are just like, yo, nah, best fighting the best. But you got to think things through. Technically, What do you want Tank to do? He can't put a gun to Shakur and say, yo, get in the ring, bro. You're messing up my reputation. Because of the fact that you're not fighting me, everybody's calling me a duck and all this other stuff, right? On top of Tank Davis's scenario, he has bosses. It's not like Tank Davis can go out and go, snap his fingers and go, I want that fight. No, Tank Davis has a boss that has a boss. And these guys got to be like, because they're putting up the money. Tank Davis is not putting up the money for these fights. These other people are. They don't like the fight. They're not going to put up the money. Where does that leave Tank Davis once again? What if Prime says, you know what? We don't like the Shakur fight. We're going to pass on it. We want you to fight somebody else. Tank has to fight basically who they tell him to. As that contract starts to get tighter and tighter, Tank ain't going to have no more free fights to give away. Prime's going to want their money's worth. Yes, they are. If they're investing $250 million or $200 and whatever amount it is, it's because Prime knows, yo, we're going to get that money back and then some off of Tank. And Tank's going to pull it off. Tank's going to pull it off because Tank packs stadiums. He sells out. He breaks gates. Every time out, Tank is breaking another number, another record. You know why? Because Tank gives the fans exactly what they paid their money to see. Knockouts, blood, excitement, that oh wow moment. Tank brings all that to the table and then some. And we're still questioning how good he is because we feel he really hasn't been tested. Why? Because he's making it look too easy. Maybe it's because he's that good. Yet, no, these guys are bum. Frank the Ghost Martin all of a sudden turned into a bum. He was an undefeated fighter and he was beating everybody coming on the way up. As soon as he beat him, no, he wasn't ready for him. Then why did he step up and take this fight? Oh, 10-pound rehydration claw. Brother, if you don't belong in this weight division, why don't you move up with guys your own size? Why are you trying to kill yourself and cut the weight to fight smaller guys? What are you afraid of? What, you don't got the power to deal with guys really your size? You wouldn't be a champion in your own division, in your own weight, would you? No. You got to come down to the little guys division and just be bigger and just as skilled in order to beat them. That way you can be a champion. Tank Davis and organizations like the IBF are trying to put a stop to all of that stuff. You want to fight our guys for our belt? Well, then be from that division. Fight them on the up and up. Tank Davis is 5'5", 135 pounds, and he makes the weight. Do the same. That's all we're asking. Then you want to gain an additional 18 to 20 pounds overnight and like be like, what? When people ask you about it, like, what? What are you talking about? He's like this. Bro, you're cheating. So yeah, I said that in my last video, Carlos. Yeah, that is in the works that, and that's going to be for January. That's going to be up there. That's going to be the fight in between. The winner is going to fight Demetrius Bivol and Arthur Benavidez. Arthur Benavidez has expressed that he would like to move up and test his limits to see if he can also repeat it and unify at the cruiserweight division. You see, from 175, Arthur. So shall he win? I think he might vacate and move up. Demetrius Bivol wins, then I think David the Monster Benavidez and David Morrell are going to try to shoot a fight in between, and then they're going to schedule to fight the winner out of those two guys, whoever shall win. So we got to see which way this goes. And if Arthur Benavidez is serious about moving up. Fighters say anything. And all of a sudden he's like, no, I'll stay here. Saudi, would you say $30 million to go out to Saudi Arabia and fight David the Monster Benavidez? I think I'll stay in here and defend the belts. Yeah. Money will change you. Yeah, you could say one thing right now, and then somebody come and say, hit that price, yo, shit changes, huh? So yeah, I like that fight right there. I mean, they're like almost mirror images of themselves. And then when you look at their last performances, both of them didn't have such good performances, right? And David, the Monster Benavidez, he's moving up to a new weight division, 175. You know, um, he looked okay in the beginning halves of the round, but you could see he needs to acclimate to the division to learn how to fight much heavier and learn how to manage his stamina, his weight, his speed, his power, and all that comes sometimes with time. And you got to like not rush into things. Not all men can do this. This is the proper way to do it, the way that David the Monster Benavidez is doing. Now, David Morale did the same exact thing that David the Monster did. Everybody sees at 168, there's no future. As long as Saul Canelo Alvarez is holding those belts hostage and doing all this kind of like, you know, finagle the bagel, so to speak, with those belts, he didn't see a future there. So the only future, they said, we're going to move up. So a lot of guys started moving up. Some guys like Caleb Plant, they're still sticking around. They still think that they can get another shot at Saul Canelo Alvarez, which, in fact, when there's nobody else to fight, that's exactly what probably Saul Canelo Alvarez is going to end up doing. He's going to end up rematching some of these guys he already beat and saying, there's nobody here in the division to fight me, when you waited out, aged out everybody in that division. We all know the story that's going on with Saul Canelo Alvarez. But I said all of that to say this, that Naoya Inoue, right, is running into the same problems a lot of these guys are having. And it's becoming harder and harder to secure opponents and to secure fights. But as we saw, there is a light at the end of that tunnel, shall he choose it. Naoya Inoue chooses to, which I believe he is, because, from what I'm reading the landscape of what he's been doing and the way he's been transitioning and adding weight on every fight and the way he's been moving up. And I feel like you don't do that unless you're preparing for a jump. At 126 pounds, all the faces change. New challenges, new obstacles, new champions, and new opportunities will emerge for Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue, I believe, is the type of fighter, and he has enough skill, power, and ring etiquette and understanding of the fight business that I believe that he can be successful. If anybody I put my faith in to do another jump in another weight division is Naoya Inoue. At 122 pounds, I think he's hit his ceiling. This is it. I believe Sam Goodman must be his last fight there. He really doesn't have anything else to prove. He doesn't have anybody else that I feel is worthy of fighting him for the opportunity of 4 belts. The rest of the men that are there, your Casamaros, your MJs, all those guys, they're not worthy. They're really not. Because if they were, they would have kept on, they would have kept their belts and they would have won the fights that they needed to get in position to fight him. He only fought the winners of the winners, Naoya Inoue, and that is not his fault. If he beat Marlon Tapales, guess who Naoya Inoue would have fought? MJ. Those are just facts. Those are just facts. And I don't think that there's anything else for him at 122 left to do, to accomplish. He's moving along at his pace, and that's the only thing that I have to work with, because no one tells Naoya Inoue when to move up. He understands the responsibility of a fighter. He understands that when he takes and makes that decision, that he would be ready. So win, lose, or defeat, he wouldn't say anything. He would say, "You beat me at my best." He doesn't want to give the other guy an opportunity in rushing moves. And a lot of fighters have fallen because they didn't calculate the move, the jump. They didn't prepare for it. Every jump that Naoya Inoue made, especially the one where he jumped up 2 weight divisions, he he was already growing so fast in his body at 19 years old. He had gotten a growth spurt. He couldn't control the growth spurt. So he moved right into the growth spurt rather than packing it on. It was a more that his body was unraveling and he was ready to make that transition and he felt like himself. I mean, that's the best way, but the human body doesn't continue to grow like that. You have to start to pack on the muscles and the pounds at some point. You see? So that's a different kind of growth. So when Naoya Inoue did that, when he made the next transition to the next adjacent weight division, he defended the title 7 times. It took him 7 fights to prepare. That's almost 2.5 years. It took him almost 2.5 years to prepare to make the next weight jump. And he was doing the same exact thing. With each fight, he was coming in like 2 pounds heavier, 2 pounds heavier, like that. And now he made another weight jump to 122, right? And let's count the fights, right? Stephen Kubo Fulton, Marlon Tapales, right? Luis Pantera Nari, right? TJ Doheny, right? And now it's going to be Sam Goodman. He's got like one more fight, I think. Fuck. At 122. If on average, it'll take him about 2 years to make a jump from one division to the next. That's I'm starting to put it together in my head. That's what the 2-year mark he was talking about, Naoya Inoue. It makes sense. Because if you start to do the math on his jumps, it was like a 2-year. It's what it took him to make the jump. Now he even fought 7 times. You could probably do it within 6. Because anything in life you do once, the second time you do it that much faster. You do it the same way, but you've learned things around from the first experience, and you know how to cut time down a little bit more. You don't get lazy in your training. You just get better and more efficient at it. That's how life is. You do one thing once, then you learn how to do it better. The next time you do it, won't you do it better, faster? I believe so. So whether or not that next fight after this, if he shall be successful and pass the test that is Sam Goodman, will the Las Vegas fight be at 122? Or will the Las Vegas fight be the fight that he would be making his mark at 126? Bob Arum, his marketing ass, he's going to want it for a belt in Las Vegas at 126. That's what Bob Arum's going to want. And every time that Naoya Inoue made a jump to the adjacent weight division, Bob Arum was scared when he first signed them, right? He wasn't always signed to Bob Arum, right? And Top Rank, Naoya Inoue. No, he wasn't. He was Ochigamo. I don't want to mess up his name. His gym and his promoter. He was always with the same promoter in co-affiliation with Top Rank. They made a partnership, and he runs most of the guys in Japan for Top Rank. Like Bob Arum has a whole bunch of little Bob Arums all over the world, and that's how Top Rank keeps its strength. It's just not one guy walking around controlling all this shit. No, Bob Arum has a whole bunch of people that work with him and work for him, right? So every time Naoya Inoue was telling him, "No, I want the champion," Bob Arum was like, chill, slow down. You don't gotta fight the champion. Why don't you fight this guy? Get acclimated to no. I don't want no tune-up fight. I don't want nothing. Champion. And Bob Arum was, a little nervous in the beginning. But Bob Arum soon realized what most of us all realized. Bob Arum was like, wait a minute, this guy's the truth. And for Bob Arum to come out and say publicly, right? And I know he'd be selling, he'd be trying to promote his fighters and shit, right? Legitimately, Bob Arum said, I've never seen anything like Naoya Inoue. For his size and for what he packs for a fighter, he said, I ain't never seen nothing like it. He said, and I worked with the best, Muhammad Ali, all of them. You name it, Bob Arum worked with them. He said, everyone. He said, and he's gonna say some shit, right? Because it's his fighter. What's up, guys? What's up, Bam Bam? But there's gotta be something to that. There's gotta be something to that. Bob Arum has a good eye for boxing. He's been around the game for a long time. And, I pay attention to every little thing he says when it comes to detail. He's not saying that he's the best fighter, throughout everybody in the fucking world, whatever. He's saying that pound for pound, there's never been a fighter quite like this guy. If you can blow up Naoya Inoue at the right size and everything to put him against Muhammad Ali, now that might be a brutal fight right there, right? Because what Bob Arum is saying, pound for pound, if he was on everybody else, then he believes that he would probably be like one of the greatest fighters. But Bob Arum is saying, for his size, for what you see and what you hear in that ringside, he goes, I've never seen it and witnessed anything like it. If Bob Arum's basically saying if he closes his eyes and he's hearing the punches, he's thinking it's a middleweight punching, some middleweight, because that's how it sounds, like a middleweight freaking hitting somebody. Pow! Bob Arum looks up and it's just this 122-pound, 5'5" Japanese dude. He can't believe it. Just like most of the people in the world that go see him, they can't believe it. Ask Stephen Kubo Fulton. Ask Donito Donaire. Look, and soon you're about to ask Sam Goodman. Just like Paul Butler. At the end of that fight, I respected Paul Butler so much because he gave me more insight in who the fighter Naoya Inoue truly is. Paul Butler was saying, man, at the last round, the 11th round, remember that statement that he said? He said, when I saw him in the press conferences, he looked tiny. He looked fragile. I was like, oh, I got this. He said, the minute I stepped in the ring with him, his presence, meaning his confidence, his aura, his demeanor, it all changed. And he was like, that's not the same guy that was sitting in the press conference all quiet like a church mouse like this. He said, this guy in front of me looks like a killer. Like, he looked like his eyes is like, bro, you done, son. You done. Right? Paul Butler went back to his corner and was like, damn. He was like, all right, I got this. I got it. He was trying to will himself into the fight. He quickly found out he was outgunned, outskilled, and outmatched. He had been weighed, and he was dealt with. Naoya Inoue turned him into a human punching bag that night. Paul Butler, bro. I saw Paul Butler bang, man. If you could go back and watch Paul Butler's highlights, yo, that dude has been in some fights, man. Paul Butler can fight. For Naoya Inoue to do that to him like that, I mean, legitimately, he turned him into a one-punch fighter retreating, going back. One-punch fighter meaning he was just looking for one punch that Naoya Inoue can make a mistake, and he was just calculating to see if he'll get that one punch. He had turned his mentality in the fight to like be like, okay, I'm still in the fight. If I could just land this one punch. He turned him into a one-punch fighter. And as well as when he would throw a punch, it would only be one punch. Psst, and back here. He didn't open up his offense no more than that. And every time he did, he paid for it. It was at first he did it so effortlessly, Naoya, in a way that I quickly question Paul Butler's performance. Just like I questioned a lot of fighters that Naoya Inoue fought in the beginning. And I was at the point where I was like, well, maybe it's not all him until he started really shutting down. He shut that door. The minute he did that to Stephen Kubo Fulton, that was a wrap for me. It's not them, it's him. He's the the problem here. Remember when they used to say, "Is it Tom Brady or Bill Belichick?" In that sequence, I believe the right answer was it was the team, because that was a team sport. So, but you see what I'm saying? And at that moment when he beat Stephen Kubo Fulton, I knew that the Americans weren't going to lay down. Stephen Kubo Fulton went out to Japan because he had all intentions of coming back home with his 2 belts, the paycheck, and the victory. You better believe that. The way he dismantled that man, I mean, Stephen Kubo Fulton didn't win a single minute of any part of that round, of any of those rounds. It was incredible. At that moment right there, I was already a believer when he destroyed Emmanuel Rodriguez, but the Stephen Kubo Fulton fight sealed it. That was it. That's when I felt like I had gotten to the point where I was following Naoya Inoue for quite some time, and the world had me feeling that everything was at stake right there on that night in Japan with Stephen Kubo Fulton. That his entire body of work, who he was riding on that moment, and that they were all finally going to give him his credit if he passed his test. In fact, he passed the test so well, in fact, and he did it so impressively that they turned around quickly and said, no, Stephen Kubo Fulton wasn't really that good. They blamed him. That's how you know when a guy really whooped your ass that good and you were outclassed. When they have to come back and say, you know what? He really wasn't that good. Really? Coming into that fight, he was an undefeated fighter, and people were advocating for Stephen Kubo Fulton to be placed higher on the pound-for-pound list. The minute he beat Stephen Kubo Fulton, they didn't want to give him his credit. Nope. Then Marlon Tapales came in, and by that time, they said if he did that to Stephen Kubo Fulton, well, nah, he's the favorite now, right? So now they're making it seem like, you know what? There's nobody in the division. Really, there's nobody in the division. That's your answer. Is that your final answer? Because men like Stephen Kubo Fulton, and let's talk all the way down to the 118, where he unified all 4 belts as well. Why hasn't anyone been able to do what he did if it's that easy? If there's nobody else, shouldn't the next guy up be able to repeat what he did? Why is it that there's 4 separate champions at 118? Soon they're going to start to unify. There's no dominant guy. Why hasn't, or why didn't Stephen Kubo Fulton unify and become undisputed at 122? Why couldn't he do it? He had a trouble against the Heartbreak Kid. They wanted to run it back at 126. Remember, Stephen Kubo Fulton was rumored to go up to 126. And speaking of Stephen Kubo Fulton, check this out, right? Stephen Kubo Fulton announced just before fighting at 126 a few weeks ago, right, that he was just stopping at 126 and he was moving up to 130. That his plans were just to get a fight at 126, skip by 126 and going right into 130, right? That was his plan going into that fight. After that fight, they asked him, Steven, are you going up to 120, 130? He said, nah, I think I should stay at 126 and try to, acclimate myself to the division and fight here more. He went in and that dude dropped him. He felt how heavy that punch was. That shit rocked him. And although Steven was looking good, impressive, fast, slick, you know, he just didn't really have that pop that really discouraged the guy from taking those kind of shots at him. The guy was swinging. Steven had a good jaw. I'm not going to say he got a glass jaw or anything like that, because after he was dropped, he took significant damage and some good shots after that. And he continued to go forward. So I never saw in his eyes where that fear started to set in for Stephen Kubo Fulton. No, I didn't see that. I saw him get dropped. I saw a little worry, like a little worry look, and then quickly as the round started going, he started getting more confidence, and then that worry look, wiped off his face, and he was just going to work. But look how quick a plan can get derailed, because according to Stephen Kubo Fulton, he wasn't going to stop at 126. That wasn't his plans. His plans were to go to 130. Now he ain't going to 130. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Just a few pounds is a big difference. It's a really big difference. And when you see like a lot of these other guys going through similar situations, right? Terrence Crawford wants to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. Saul Canelo Alvarez told him, why don't you fight Ismail Makhachev, right? I mean, Saul didn't tell him that. Saul Canelo Alvarez told Terrence Crawford, why don't you fight somebody at 168 pounds, right? And then to prove that you can win, and then I'll fight you. Teofimo Lopez told Terrence Crawford, I would like to fight you. And Terrence Crawford told Teo, why don't you fight Ismail, right? To prove that you could beat him, and then I'll fight you. And Terrence Crawford was offended when Saul Canelo Alvarez told him to do that. He was like, how dare you tell me, no, you're ducking me. Why don't you just fight me? Just give me the fight straight up. I don't have to fight anybody. But he turns around and tells Teofimo Lopez to do the exact same thing he was offended of. And I mean the exact same thing. There is nothing different in their scenario, their situations. Teo with Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford with Saul Canelo Alvarez. There is nothing different there. And it just goes to show you that some of these men's egos are really big. And some of them believe their star status alone should award them that fight. Some of these opportunities are better earned. And I believe, truthfully, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the fight. I just feel that Terrence has been fighting too many divisions lower than Saul. Saul's even used to fighting guys 175, even bigger. What possible punch could Terrence Crawford throw that's going to hurt Iron Chin Saul Canelo Alvarez? And I'm pretty sure that Saul Canelo Alvarez's punches are going to hurt Terrence Crawford. The only thing in this equation is whether or not he can catch up to Terrence Crawford, and whether or not he can land those big shots. That's basically it. Because the bigger puncher out of them two is Saul Canelo Alvarez. You would never think to say, and I hope that no one ever thinks this, that you would think that Terrence Crawford would be the bigger puncher. That would be insane to think. What calculation would give you that? I've never seen Terrence Crawford at 168. Never in my life. What proof do you have of that? He went up to 154 and couldn't knock out Ismail Makhachev. And he caught him clean, flush. There was nothing wrong with those shots. Terrence Crawford couldn't put that man away. And you mean to tell me he's just going to walk up 3 divisions, not one? And we've been talking this entire time how much problems fighters are having just moving up one weight division. Just one. You're asking him to jump 3. And for some reason in your head, you think, what's going to happen here? Terrence Crawford's going to legitimately, at his old age right now, is going to turn into who? Superman? He can't even turn right or lefty like he used to. He's already losing a step, and we agreed about that before the Ismail fight. And he looked amazing in the Errol Spence Jr., but he had a lot of help. Because Errol looked really bad, like horribly bad. His placement, with his angles that he was throwing the punches, he was leaving himself. It was like a pro fighting an amateur. Let's just keep it real. Call it for what it was. That was really bad. That was nowhere near Errol. Right? Then he fights Ismail, and it was a split decision, right? How does Terrence Crawford turn into, just because he's going to gain some more weight, all of a sudden in your head, you're increasing his power? What are you increasing his power by? And if you're increasing his power, then you're going to have to take away some speed. So you want a guy that's used to feeling 168 or better, sometimes lower, anywhere in between that ballpark. Those kind of fights he's been in. Demetrius Bivol is a huge man. Demetrius Bivol will beat the shit out of Terrence Crawford. Yes, he would. You put Demetrius Bivol in the ring with Terrence Crawford, he'll beat Terrence Crawford. He's just too big. He's just too big. And Demetrius Bivol could not finish Saul Canelo Alvarez at 175 at his own weight division, where he's the strongest. Demetrius Bivol could not finish Saul. And you really think that Terrence Crawford's going to come in here and do what? You think he's going to do Floyd Mayweather to Saul? When Saul Canelo Alvarez is a much better fighter than what he was when he fought Floyd Mayweather and the boxing clinic Floyd Mayweather put on him. Saul knows how to cut the ring way better now. Saul learned so much in that fight, how to deal with some of that. He's losing a little bit of something, and those kind of fighters, the American slick style, always, and I repeat this, I'll put that up against anybody, right? But in a fair fight. Not in a 3-division weight jump. That's not a fair fight. That is technically not a fair fight. It's not. And you really think, not only are you going to pack on Terrence Crawford and blimp him up, right? But on top of that, you expect him to be stronger, faster, more accurate, and just whoop Canelo Alvarez's ass with the lightning speed of Floyd Mayweather and the cat-like reflexes? You expect them to blow up 3 weight divisions and to perform like Mayweather. That's your plan. That's your plan for Terrence Crawford? Really? And when Saul Canelo Alvarez beats him, they're not going to give him the credit. But look who's asking for these fights. You know, that's like Berlanga. Oh, no, we don't want to get... Yo, he asked for the fight. He asked for the smoke. Sam Goodman jumped in the ring asking for the smoke with Naoya Inoue. Oh, Sam Goodman is really a bantamweight. He's a smaller guy. What's he doing prying his business in Naoya Inoue shit? What is Terrence Crawford doing prying his nose in Saul Canelo Alvarez's shit? And his affairs, his business. He's the king up there. You're the king down there. Why are you bothering me, little man? 3 division down, man. That's how Saul feels. And Terrence Crawford is saying, I ain't little. I got skills. And I think I can beat you. Well, it's one thing to have skills, and it's one thing that you can think you could beat him. Reality is a motherfucker. That would be if Terrence Crawford can legitimately pull off some shit like that, they should just make a special belt, a one of a kind, a one of one, a Superman belt. And they should put like all 4 major sanctioning bodies plaques around the entire belt. And they would award Terrence Crawford the Superman belt because that is truly some Superman shit that has never, and I repeat, in the history of the sport of boxing, never ever been a man to be so foolish enough to turn himself into Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo did exactly what you want Terrence Crawford to do, and Jamel Charlo can fight at 154. He had all 4 belts. Don't tell me he could not fight. Did he even look like a fraction half of himself? Did he look like 40% of himself? Did he look like 30% of himself? How about 20? How about 15% of himself in that ring with Saul Canelo Alvarez on that night? You're going to have to take something away from Terrence Crawford. It's impossible for him to get better, increase, stronger, faster 3-weight division jump. What do you think? He's a robot? That's insane. That is truly insane to ask for. But yet, just because it rolls off the tongue, yeah, I want to see the fight. I want to see the best fight in best. I want to see Crawford versus Saul. And Saul is basically for the first time in a nice way saying, I don't want this fight. You guys ain't going to give me credit for it. I'm legitimately not ducking him. It's just legitimately he's too small for me. We have weight divisions for a reason. If this was street fighting, we didn't have no weight divisions, then I would take the fight. But as you can see, if Ryan Garcia comes in just 3.5 pounds overweight, he's a weight bully. 3.5 pounds. Dictate the fight. That's what they said. Just 3.5 pounds. You want him to go from 154 to 168? What is Saul going to weigh in on the night, on fight night, on 168 with no weight claw? What do you think he's going to weigh in? Probably 175. 175. And after Terrence Crawford makes weight, how much you think he's going to weigh at 168? He's probably going to lose weight. He's probably going to come in on fight night 166. 166 and a half. Saul's going to be 175 like this with an iron chin. Ain't never been wobbled, dropped, stumbled, moved, just fatigued a little, but not rocked. No. Ding, ding. Let's go. Boy, it's not going to be a good night. At some point, he's going to have to exchange with him. He could try that Majimov shit. Saul is smarter than Majimov, a lot smarter than him. The mistakes that Terrence also made and the lack of pressure that Ismail had, or that lack of urgency, Canelo has championship pedigree. He knows moments. He knows how to manage a fight. He knows what to do for what rounds, where he needs to be in the fight he can manage a fight. Saul, he's very good at it. He's very good. He knows how much time is left on the clock, everything. You don't have to show him the time. Saul's a master in the ring. Make no mistake of it. Just like Terrence Crawford is. Terrence Crawford is a superb fucking he's good, man. He's amazing, but fight him in his own weight division. Fight the real version of Terrence Crawford and beat him. I'll give you credit. This blimped up version, Saul will never get my credit, my respect for that. Never. He's not going to get it from Terrence Crawford. When he beats Terrence Crawford, is that going to make him the best fighter in the world? Hell no. Why? Because they'll always say David the Monster Benavidez. So that tells you Terrence Crawford shouldn't be the guy he's fighting. It should not be. The man he should fight is David the Monster Benavidez. That's his problem. That's his business. That's what we really want to see. Yeah. I think Terrence Crawford should try to unify at 154. He should stay in his lane. Fuck Saul. Fuck Saul. Let Saul do Saul Canelo Alvarez shit. You know, I understand Terrence Crawford did a lot of things for the sport of boxing, and he really never got paid the way he should have. But some of that has to do in part to Terrence Crawford for the contracts that he signed and the positioning that he chose and the moves he made. You know, a lot of it has to do with him himself. He's admitted it, you know, and a lot had to do with, you know, his promotional company, Top Rank. They weren't seeing eye to eye. And then that part of it had a big part of it to do too, as well. So he was never, you know, he never really got those, you know, like that. But Naoya Inoue, I'll tell you one thing. He's running out of options at 122. The 126 opens a new set of doors. Opens up so many more options for him. And I believe that Bob Arum really wants to put that fight together in Vegas because it's a Vegas fight. What I think he would have did, Bob Arum, had it been another fight at 122, and this is what I was thinking the whole time when I was getting on. This was going to be one of my points, right? Because I believe this. Had that fight, that his last fight, and he wanted his last fight in December, then he's coming to America, right? Had that American fight been at 122 pounds and it was talked about and it was for sure 122 pounds, I think Bob Arum would have put him in New York City in Madison Square Garden. Yeah. I think he would have either co-featured him or headlined them in Madison Square Garden. You know, you in New York, you have a big Oriental community out there, and there's a lot of people that do know of Naoya Inoue in New York. He was out there watching the Bruce Carrington, and a lot of people were looking at him. They were pointing at him from the crowd. People recognized who he was. So that's what made me think that because of the fact that he was putting it in Vegas, it was a big, you know, I thought it was going to be a big event, so that's why, you know, I started like thinking, yo, that the Vegas fight lands on the sixth fight, that could be the 126 fight because it was in Vegas. Because you know how Bob Arum is with Madison Square Garden. The majority of fights of Bob Arum are in Madison Square Garden. He loves that place. They got his credit card on freaking spin dial. He just run it. He just turn on the lights. Let's go again. Bob Arum put Xander Zion there, Bruce Carrington there. You know, he'll put it in the Barclays Center. He'll put it in Madison Square Garden. Or he'll put it out there in New York. Bob Arum. He'll put those kind of fights. He put Tio and Loma in Madison Square Garden, didn't he? Bob Arum loves Madison Square Garden. And when he has big fights, which that's the Garden, used to be the Mecca of boxing. That's Madison Square Garden, for God's sake, right? So he's put people there for less. So I said to myself, if he came to America, he would do that. And the fact that he didn't do that, he went straight to Vegas. I was like, what are you doing, Bob Arum? What are you planning? I'm trying to think, like, why would he do that? And then who's gonna headline? Is Naoya Inoue gonna headline that card? Then all of a sudden, these rumors with Saul Canelo Alvarez going out there and this, that, and everything, and a lot of things started flying around, but nothing definitively, and impossible to say, right? Because Naoya Inoue still hasn't fought Sam Goodman. Let's calm down. We still got to get past this fight in December. You can't start negotiating fights. You know how that happens. Just ask Dante Wilder. Just ask Anthony Joshua. Just ask a lot of fighters that they thought were going to win and key moments they were supposed to win, and they put the cart before the horse. That never works out good. So I was like, for them to say Saul Canelo Alvarez and Naoya Inoue or whatever like that, not unless they talking about the December date. You know what I'm saying? For Saul to go on that December date, which I don't. First of all, Saul is signed to a different promotional company. How would you convince me that those two promotional companies are going to work together to take their top superstars and put them on the same card? Which one is going to take the lion's share of the money? And why? And who's going to lead? Right? That's why I find that hard to believe. So hard to believe. Although I think that, you know, all Bob Arum would have to do is use one of his top ranked fighters. He has plenty of fighters in his stable that are top fighters in the world, and even guys that are coming up that he can use to co-feature, help Naoya Inoue along, stack the card with top ranked guys. He doesn't need Ed Hearn to come over to him and to try to sell him on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Like, it just, I don't know. But the Saudi prince got them all working together. He does have a contract with Top Rank signed with Ed Hearn and with Golden Boy, the Prince Al Sheikh. And if Prince Al Sheikh got them all co-affiliated with them, remember when they posted up online all the agreeing that they are associated as one now, and Oscar signed his, Top Rank signed his, then Ed Hearn signed his. Remember that? So maybe this is a case where now these promotional companies are being told by the higher up, which is the prince, make the fight happen. This is gonna be a weird time in boxing when we start seeing shit like that, because my mind is automatically telling me how shit used to be and how it was, until I'm starting to hear of this change now in boxing. Well, if shit was the way I always thought it would be, I didn't really see Ed Hearn in Top Rank working like that with their top guys, putting them on one card like that. No. But the more I talk it over in my head, I start to realize, wait a minute, that Saudi dude is putting up all the money. When you do that, you can move mountains. They'll make this fight happen. Yes, they will. So, yo. Yep. Yeah, yo. Oh yeah, Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez and Miguel Cotto. Not Miguel. Cotto, not Miguel, his brother. Yo, that's a no-brainer, Mark. Wherever that man goes, he's got a big support fan base in Japan. If they brought Naoya Inoue to Las Vegas, right? And let's say you're like, you know, just a family in Vegas. You guys were road tripping it up, right? You're out there with your cameras, your dog, your daughter, your son. Hey, honey, look at Vegas. And all of a sudden you turn to the left like this. You're going to see a lot of big willy gangster Japanese dudes pulling up, getting out, tatted from the neck down, like Japanese sumo wrestlers. You know how the Japanese guys do it. They get like the Japanese art from like their neck, all their whole back, everywhere. You're gonna see these dudes walking around. You're gonna be like, who the hell is in town? It's gonna be Naoya Inoue. Bro, his people are gonna that's not a problem. Them Japan dudes, they got their own money. They gonna travel. They gonna support them. They're gonna pack that regardless. Yeah, it might not be 55,000 like in the Tokyo arena, but I guarantee you he'll get 18,000, 20,000 plus, if not more. Yeah, easy. Naoya Inoue is gonna get it because they can hide from the fact like no one knows who he is. Bullshit. Bullshit. Plenty of people have already come in contact with him. Plenty of people know because they couldn't hide him. They couldn't brush him under the rug. They couldn't just sweep away all his accolades because he was just doing it like at an come on, bro. Unifying all four belts in 6 months. Really? Remember when they broke the story? They tried so hard to minimize what he did that they were saying Naoya Inoue unified all four belts within a calendar year. Right? Right? Do you notice it now? They say he unified within a calendar year. No, not a calendar year. 6 months, bro. Tell it like it is. They found another way to say it. The 6 months without saying it. You know? And I was just like, man, they are trying to silence him. But with each fight, he keeps making more and more noise that they can't. He's coming up in conversations, pound for pound, best fighter in the world conversation, fighter of the year conversation. They can't silence him. They tried so much by discrediting him, calling him a hype job. Don't pay attention. His fights are too early in the morning. God forbid, don't set an alarm clock to watch him box right before you go to work and eat some breakfast. It's probably one of the best boxing and breakfast, right? And oh no, they tried so many tactics to silence him. They can't. They can't. He's just making 4 belt title defenses on an undisputed reign. Yo, he's truly doing undisputed shit. Speaking of which, that undisputed game, man, I was so mad the other day. I was like, fuck, I'm boycotted because of Ryan's situation. I can't boycott it. When video games like that come out for boxing, eventually I'm gonna have to get it because I'm already twitching. I'm mad about the situation, how they did Ryan like that and shit. Because some people think that was a good thing. I think that was sending the wrong message. Like, what do you mean you're taking them off the game? You better take off like 10 of them fighters. Then they said, mad at them dudes on that game said some racist shit back in the day. You know, a lot of them did. Like, and I was just like, I mean, it was a different time back then. I get it, but they still said it. You know, Mike Tyson, I'm gonna eat your kids and all kinds of shit. Like, what? Are you what? Oh, I'm not gonna let a white boy beat me. Really? You're on the game? Like, he was just he didn't even hide it. He said white boy and everything. You're on the game? Like, huh? Like, I was pissed, but The game itself, undisputed, like, um, I was gonna push back because in the back of my mind, I had already seen that ESPA Sports was they was gonna bring back the other boxing game, but they're a little ways off now. I went looking it up and shit to see if there was gonna, so undisputed is where it's at right now. I've been seeing some reviews on it and shit, but I'm not gonna tell you guys anything. And just in case, spoiler alert, you wanted to keep it to yourself. I'm gonna go check it out. I'm probably gonna get it and shit. Right now I'm rocking this game and shit. That the monkey one, that Wukong Master shit, whatever, Black Wukong and shit. This little dude, man, them boss fights is out of crazy. They driving me crazy. There's this tiger. He keeps kicking my ass, bro. And I'm telling you, if I saw the tiger on the street, I'm gonna shank him. You know what I'm saying? yo. But I beat him. And I got like to this other part on the desert. I'm like fighting this other dude that's carrying this big head. And then like this beetle jumps out of the sky and lands on top of you and stuff. It's crazy. But the beetle got me vexed right now. And I'm telling you, right, yo, this game is driving me crazy. But yeah, I wanted to check out that undisputed one. I don't play many video games at all. Usually just Call of Duty, like games like God of War and shit like that. That's basically it. No 2K. I don't play basketball. Madden football, I'll get down, I'll get busy in some Madden. Not the best, but you're not gonna shut me out. I tell you that much. I got one or two plays. The money plays work every time. When you're down, you go to your bread and butter. You know what I mean? So like, but it'll be shocking if they sweep the Phillies. They're not going seven. The Phillies, Queens. I used to be a huge baseball fan. I haven't watched or covered baseball in so long. I used to be a huge Laker fan. Laker was my team, bro. I was a Laker fan, you know what I'm saying? But the day that LeBron James became a Laker, that day I said I'll never watch another Laker game. And I didn't. I haven't until he leaves. When the day he leaves, I'll go watch Laker basketball again and shit because I'm on that shit, that loyalty shit. I'm on that shit. Stay on the same team like Tim Duncan. Stay on the same team like Kobe. Never switched. LeBron got where he's been Cleveland, Matt, fucking Heat. When they retire his jersey, who they gonna retire it with? With the Lakers? He's not a Laker. Is he a Cleveland? He won one with them. Is he Magic? How many championships he won with Magic? Where is his jersey getting retired to? You're not loyal to no one, are you? And I never questioned his ability to play. He could play, he's a great player, whatever. I never really watched him, right? I just didn't care. I just didn't like that. It was just such a bad taste. Like, I was like, dude, bro, you left Cleveland, went to Miami, went back to Cleveland, and you hopping on another stacked team? Like, dude, you can't do it like MJ. Like, you can't build a team by yourself and carry the team on your shoulders like you did kind of in Cleveland, but you couldn't like keep it going like MJ did. Three peats. Like, and that was just my decision. It wasn't nothing really based on LeBron's basketball playing or anything. I was such a Laker fan, such a hardcore Laker fan. And then later I lose I like, you know, because ironically, check it out, right? Larry Bird was my arch nemesis in Boston. I hated Larry Bird in the Celtics, right? And I always liked the Lakers, right? When I got much older, right, that I appreciate the legend of Larry Bird, that I really like got to like watch his games and shit, that I really appreciate what was in front of me. Now that was a legend I didn't recognize because of my favorite player. It didn't allow me to see Larry Bird's greatness. I always thought he was just a lucky white boy. Man, that white boy's always lucky. Always shoot up that man. Nah, man. Yo, Larry Bird legitimately, bro. And this is just the truth. He can walk in at his on his day, like Larry in his time, Larry Bird's time, he could legitimately walk in any hood in America, say, I got next. They were like, damn right you do. They'll kick somebody off the team in the hood. Like, he can walk up. He really didn't see color, Larry Bird. He was a good man. He was a good man. He saw competition. And if he didn't shake your hand because it wasn't because you were black or white, it was because he didn't like you as a competitor. He knew you were a threat to him. He was never going to give you props. He was a ruthless competitor. Larry Bird, ruthless. Shit talker too. Yo, he talked trash with the best of them. When I got older and I understood things and I saw things differently, did I come to respect them? I don't respect this picture that much, but it was a gift. I find it humorous. I put it up. I'm not gonna be mad. But like my legends on the floor right there and shit, I don't get mad behind that shit and shit. I'm like, all right, fair play. I'll fuck around and go get another one with um Magic Johnson knocking his ass out right next to it. And I'll put them side by side and shit. Right? Right. But I don't I don't take shit personal because my man was the truth. Larry Bird was the truth, dog. And Magic Johnson looked back and gave him his props and was like, yo, out of all, he said, I never feared any basketball player. The one player I feared was Larry Bird. And he was just being honest. Yeah, and that was just respect. I wish these guys in boxing do that and show respect. But in boxing, you're mostly leading by machismo. You know what I'm saying? It's like you never want to prove or them have you saying this guy's better than you or you think this guy's better. The only way a boxer talks or gives flowers to another boxer if he's nowhere in his radar and he's not in his weight division. When they asked Tank Davis about Naoya Inoue, he was so far down at 118. He's at 135 that Tank can speak freely. He was like, no, that guy is the truth. He's good. He's really good. You know, the further that he's moving up, getting closer, starting to edge, and the possibility that a date could potentially emerge between him and Tank Davis. Now that is starting to look, better and better as the weeks and months starting to, especially if he makes his jump at 126. Especially he does that. Now we're like right there with him and Tank. You know what I mean? And if you was to put Naoya Inoue in with Tank at 135, I wouldn't accept that fight. You're blimping him up. Same thing I'm trying to tell you guys about Saul Canelo Alvarez. Same scenario. I wouldn't accept it. Tank got to give something. He's got to cut some weight too. He's got to meet Naoya halfway at a catchweight somewhere. If Terrence Crawford was serious about fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez, he can't just be at 168. You got to take some weight off. You got to come down here. You got to meet me halfway. You got to sacrifice, and I got to sacrifice gaining some, feeling slower, and you got to be a little bit dehydrated. Now we got ourselves a fight. But if you think I'm just going to send Naoya Inoue 3 weight divisions up to fight Tank Davis, you got to be out of your mind. I don't care how good Naoya Inoue is. He's just too big. Naoya Inoue's punches are probably not going to hurt him like that. Just jumping, not acclimating, not none of that shit. No. No, no, no. He might have all the skill in the world, but fuck no, I wouldn't accept that fight. Tank is going to hurt him. Hell yeah, Tank will break him, bro. At 135, there's no doubt in my mind. Naoya Inoue is fucking good as shit, skilled and everything. But it's not that shit. That's why you gotta respect what this motherfucker right here did, bro. Legitimately, he was like 26 pounds underweight against Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto was blasting Floyd Mayweather. I mean, blasting him, bro. As hard as Miguel Cotto punches, as big as he was on that night, Mayweather got up on the scale with 2 bricks in his pockets. He was never anywhere near 154, lying like a motherfucker to make the fight happen. and Miguel Cotto was taking full advantage of it. Floyd didn't complain. Floyd didn't put no weight clause on fights. Floyd allowed those guys to blimp up. What he did was fucking short of fucking remarkable. It truly was. And it was talked about like it went right underneath the radar. Like what Floyd just did was, oh, anybody could do that. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. Who else has ever done that? I'll wait. I'll be right here. Pick him. Show me a guy that did that. That legitimately came up from 130. Floyd Mayweather was a 130-pound fighter. He's up at 154 fighting who? The killers of the killer? Miguel Cotto. Fucking Manny Pacquiao. What? Weren't Manny Pacquiao, the Miguel Cottos, those kind of guys, like the killers, the Madonnas? Like, what the fuck are you, Madonna? Like, what? Like, and I was like, and Saul Canelo Alvarez himself at 23 years old. He fought him like the shit Floyd did, bro. It was because Floyd had cat-like reflexes. He had a gas tank for days. He never got tired. The gods blessed him with unique gifts that, a lot of individual fighters have some of those, but all in one, the way he had it, you don't see that too often. Not even Naoya Inoue has everything Floyd does. But Floyd doesn't have everything Naoya Inoue has either. Because there's traits that Naoya Inoue and punches and distant management and understanding that those kind of shots were there. Naoya Inoue, his selection of punches and the way he was better than typically Floyd's. But what Naoya Inoue lacks in, Floyd flourished in. They were two different fighters and unique in their own ways. Naoya Inoue had a lot more power than Floyd. A lot more power. But Floyd's speed was blinding. If you think Naoya Inoue's speed was blinding, Floyd's speed was blinding. And he was really smart. He was typically 2 to 3 steps on his opponent, just like Naoya Inoue is. Remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Diego Corrales, right? And he comes out. Yo, let's remember, Diego Corrales was an undefeated fighter coming into that fight. He had never been knocked down or knocked out in his career. Diego Corrales was like this much bigger than Floyd. He had the reach, the length, the size. He was the champion coming into that fight. Let's all remember this. Diego Corrales was supposed to whoop Mayweather's ass. Yo, Mayweather, that was a masterclass boxing performance against a champion that had never lost, never tasted defeat, never been knocked down, never been knocked out. And Floyd, and then they say, Floyd don't got one punch knockout power. What are you talking about? How the fuck does Floyd did not have one punch knockdown power or knockout power? Floyd knocked Diego Corrales down for the first time with one punch. With one punch. And it was a left check hook. Wasn't even his right hand. Floyd was stabbing the body, stabbing the body, stabbing the body. When Diego went to clinch for the body, he switched it up and hit him with the check hook in the jaw and dropped him and walked off. And Diego, and then remember the combination that he hit him and he almost spun him? Mayweather got popped. It's just that after he punched him with that shot, he probably broke that hand. He was, he's just tough. Some men can still fight with broken hands because your hand might be broken, but with all the tape and the gauze, it's still in position. Your hand is technically still in position sometimes, depending how it breaks. You could break it and this shit'll pop up right through it. It'll be like that high. It's broken. Those kind of ones hurt the worst. Like, But like if let's say you get a split, like like a fracture or something, you could still fight and punch with those. I have. I've fractured my hand, broke it, and still threw the same hand. It hurt like a son of a bitch, but I still threw it. Yeah, I have. As a matter of fact, this finger right here, in fact, this knuckles back here, and that's the same fight that I'm talking about. I broke it in that fight. I still hit him with the same hand. So some broken hands, all broken hands are not the same. You could still throw the hand, but your hand might be broken. Yeah. He said, Frontline, do you have an iPhone? He said, is it a 14 or better? Damn, nigga. You ain't fucking with nobody unless their iPhone is a 14 or better, bam. You ain't got to, it's like what you do for work? How much you get paid? You got an iPhone? Is it a 14 or better? Yo, bam, like, yo, what the hell? Yo, nah, I know y'all kicking it about something. I'm just busting your balls. You know what I mean? Yo, by the way, Frontline, my man, how y'all doing down there in Florida and everything? On the where you guys are at. I got a sister down there. They're boarded up the house. They're like, like trying to like wait out the hurricane. And then I got my brother Rob out there, and I haven't heard from him all day. I called him like 6 times already. He hasn't picked up the phone once. So I'm sitting here doing the live, little nervous, little worried, but I know how Rob is. I know he's probably like helping out neighbors and boarding something up. He's always trying to fix something. I know how he is. So and I know how like, in a storm like this, you can also be busy. So I hope nothing happened. I haven't really like heard any like massive like in that area where he's at. So I'm like, maybe he's busy because I've been trying to check on it on the news and where he's at, it really it's like slowing down more. So I think typically he might be like out helping people or something. So and Rob, if you seen this, call me, bro. Call me. You ain't called me back, man. So, you know, but yeah, we wait until tomorrow. Why it'll touch down there. I'm not really quite sure on, how everything is played. I haven't been following it. I don't like to do that. I'll start getting worried, and all of a sudden, I'm fucking in the car trying to save my sister's life. Like, no, Evie, the storm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she tells me, like, I already talked to my brother, and I was like, yo, why didn't she just board up the house, get in the car, and just head out this way? Right? And he's like, yeah, but they got their grandparents with them. They can't move them. They gotta kind of like, wait this shit out together and shit. I'm just like, man, I would have been like, Grandpa, Grandma, get the hell up, get in the car, we're leaving, let's go. Yo, that's it. But if, because what happens is in situations like this, if like say no one's in the house to watch it and you leave the storm and like trees or debris go through your window and break it, looters are gonna come by and they're gonna steal your shit. People that are still there are gonna be going through trying to see if anybody got hurt, and they're gonna start walking into houses and walking out with shit. So some people like wait it out, because a lot of different stuff happens in those kind of situations. Yeah. So I was like, all right. Uh, what? Bam said, don't talk to him. You're a Red Sox? Who's a Red Sox? You see that right there, right? You see that, right? I mean, it's right there. All right. In fact, the only New England team I rock with was the Patriots. Unfortunately, yeah. I like the Bruins, but I don't got no hockey team. So whenever they're winning or they're on, I'm like, hey, Bruins. I don't know shit about hockey, right? So, nah, I don't rock with the Red Sox. Mm-mm. The Red Sox, their history is what messed me up. See, I know the history of the Red Sox. I started growing up here in Boston. I've been to Fenway more than fucking 20 times. And you go in Fenway, watching a Red Sox Yankee game, just don't wear your Yankee gear. Just wear it underneath the Red Sox shirt. You don't want to go up in there with that Yankee shit coming out the back stadium of Fenway with all them drunk dudes. It's not gonna go too well, especially if Red Sox lost. It might not go too well. Sometimes they cool. It just depends what crowd you catch. I've seen rowdy crowds, I've seen cool crowds, you know, and shit like that. And depend the era or what the magnitude. But Boston and Yankee baseball, that was everything. That was everything. And then we go down and I've been in Fenway so many times and shit, right? But um yeah, like depending on the situation, it's most mainly depending on the situation. But you see, on the Red Sox's billboards, they had back in the day, right? They changed a lot around, but it still looks the same, right? In Fenway, right? They got the history of the Red Sox, and you can go in the back and you can read the plaques and all the Boston players that you know. What was the pole called? The thing pole. I forget the name of the dude. Right? It's real famous. He's like he was going like this, pushing the ball, egging it when he hit it, and they named the pole after him. And you could see all the history. And I started reading the Red Sox history. I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. I was a kid when this happened. I think my my stepdad Chago took us out there, and I forget who I went with, but I remember reading the history, and I found this out about the Red Sox. In fact, the Red Sox was the last organization in baseball to acquire the assistance of an Afro American or Latin baseball player. They were so stubborn with just having playing white dudes on their team that they like teams like the Dodgers and all that, they had took on black American players and they saw that they were good, and especially Dominican players. Until the Red Sox turned it around, that they broke the curse, which the real curse was acquiring the assistance of minority players. They wanted to keep it, I guess, an Irish baseball team. I don't know what they were thinking, but it was like it took them like 14, 15 years to get the first black player on their team. From the time that they allowed black men into baseball, 14 years later, all the other teams were taking up all the brothers, all the Latin dudes, and they were wondering why the Red Sox weren't winning, why they had an 86-year-old curse that they could never beat the Yankees. They weren't shopping around for the talent. And I saw that as like, you don't like my kind, then I don't like you, you know? And I was young then. Plus I didn't have I definitely didn't have a choice. In my house was a New York Yankee. When I was born, they put a Yankee hat on me with a little Yankee thing and took a picture. If I said anything or hinted like I even dared to pick my own team, I typically got a smack in the mouth and stand outside and go think of what you just said until you come in here, you know? And it was like my family would disown me. I didn't pick my baseball team. They picked it for me. That was it. This is the team, and that was it. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. So I hadn't I never picked actually my team. Yeah, to this day. But I like my family and I like talking to them. So go Yankees. Yo, fight fans, listen, guys, you guys are amazing, man. I hope you guys stay safe out there during these times. Frontline, I hope you and your family are okay. And everybody, Armando, Bam Bam, you and your family, I hope you guys wish you guys well. Everybody tuning in on the live stream. We're going through interesting times and we need to come together as one. We need to come together. And I know that's asking a lot, but at least, never, you know, be afraid to extend a hand and help, you know, and may you have a blessed day, everyone out there. So I'm off to the next one. After this one, here